the true story of Joan of Arc, the peasant girl who became a warrior saint. Few figures in history have inspired as much awe and mystery as Joan of Arc. A peasant girl from a small village in France, she rose to become one of the most legendary warriors of the medieval world. Led by divine visions, she defied the expectations of her time, fought for her country's freedom, and ultimately paid the highest price for her convictions. But who was Joan of Arc, and how did she become a saint centuries after her tragic end? The humble beginnings of a future heroine. Joan of Arc was born around 1412 in Domremy, a small village in northeastern France. She was the daughter of Jacques d'Arc and Isabelle Romay, simple farmers who lived during a time of great turmoil. France was in the middle of the 100 Years' War, 1337 to 1453, a bitter conflict between France and England for control of the French throne. Though she grew up in a world torn apart by war, Joan's early life was unremarkable. She never learned to read or write, spending her days tending sheep and helping her family. Yet, at the age of 13, she began to experience something extraordinary, visions and voices that she believed came from God. Divine visions and a heavenly mission. Joan claimed that Saint Michael the Archangel, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret appeared to her, delivering messages from God. These celestial voices urged her to take up arms, support Charles VII, the Dauphin of France, and help drive the English out of her homeland. For years, Joan resisted the call, fearing the impossible nature of her task. She was just a teenage girl with no military experience. But by 1428, as the English and their allies from Burgundy tightened their grip on France, Joan could no longer ignore her divine mission. From peasant girl to military leader. In 1429, at the age of 17, Joan set out to meet Charles VII in the town of Chinon. Though his advisors were skeptical of this illiterate farm girl, Joan's confidence, conviction, and supposed divine guidance convinced them to grant her an audience. Charles, desperate for a miracle, decided to put her faith to the test. Joan was given armor, a horse, and a small army. With a banner that bore the words Jesus, Maria, she rode into battle. Her first great test came at the Siege of Orléans, where the French army had been struggling against the English for months. In just 9 days, Joan and her troops broke the siege, a victory that changed the course of the war and proved that she was no mere dreamer. She was a force to be reckoned with. The road to Reims and the coronation of Charles VII. With her military successes growing, Joan pushed Charles to march to Reims, the traditional site for the coronation of French kings. Her faith and leadership inspired the French army to take back key cities along the way. In July 1429, Charles was crowned King Charles VII, with Joan standing proudly beside him. It was a moment of triumph, not just for Joan, but for France itself. Joan's ability to inspire her soldiers was remarkable. She did not wield a sword in battle, but rather led with her unwavering belief in her mission. Her presence alone was said to rally troops and strike fear into the enemy. She insisted on maintaining moral discipline within the army, prohibiting looting, and demanding that soldiers attend church services. Betrayal, capture, and trial. Despite her victories, Joan's fortune soon changed. Political infighting, jealousy, and distrust among French nobles led to her being sidelined. In May 1430, she was captured by the Burgundians, allies of England, while attempting to defend the town of Compiègne. Rather than being ransomed or rescued by the French, she was sold to the English for a hefty sum. Joan was handed over to the pro-English Bishop of Beauvais, Pierre Cauchon, who put her on trial for heresy and witchcraft. Over the course of several months, Joan, now just 19 years old, stood before her judges in a sham trial designed to discredit her. She bravely defended herself, showing an intelligence and defiance that surprised even her enemies. Among the charges against her were wearing men's clothing and claiming to hear divine voices, both seen as acts of defiance against the church. Joan remained steadfast in her testimony, stating that her mission was divinely ordained. Despite a lack of real evidence, she was convicted and sentenced to death. On May 30th, 1431, Joan was led to the marketplace in Rouen, where she was burned at the stake. Witnesses later reported that she faced death with courage, crying out the name of Jesus as the flames consumed her. Her ashes were scattered in the Seine River to prevent her remains from becoming relics. Rehabilitation and sainthood. Years after her death, many, including Charles VII, began to see Joan as a martyr. In 1456, Pope Calixtus III officially annulled her conviction, declaring that she had been unjustly condemned. Centuries later, Joan of Arc's legacy continued to grow. She became a symbol of French nationalism, particularly during times of war. In 1920, nearly 500 years after her death, she was canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church. Today, she remains one of the most celebrated heroines in French history and a symbol of courage, faith, and patriotism. Conclusion. The legacy of Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc's story is one of faith, bravery, and unbreakable determination. Though she lived a short life, her impact on history is undeniable. She defied expectations, challenged the most powerful men of her time, and ultimately became one of the most revered figures in both history and religion. Today, she stands as a timeless icon of strength and conviction, a reminder that one person, no matter how unlikely, can change the course of history. Joan of Arc may have been executed as a heretic, but in the hearts of millions, she lives on as a saint, a warrior, and a legend. From a humble peasant girl to a divinely inspired warrior, and ultimately a martyr and saint, Joan of Arc's journey continues to captivate and inspire people worldwide. Her name is forever etched in history, a testament to the power of faith and the resilience of the human spirit. Joan's life has inspired countless books, films, and works of art, ensuring that her story will never be forgotten. Her ability to lead an army, stand firm against her adversaries, and maintain unwavering faith in her mission remains one of the most extraordinary tales in history. As a symbol of national pride and religious devotion, Joan of Arc continues to be venerated across the world, proving that her legend is truly immortal.